What's up, Rafiki? I'm Leon, the Paperback Maniac, coming back with my Summer Horror Haul Part 4. A couple of you guys called me out on my last Summer Horror Haul video when I said I hoped it would be the last. And, you guys know me. You know me better than I know myself, apparently. Although I gotta admit, this one is fairly small for my standards. I really tried to exercise a little restraint when I went in the shops. So because of that, I decided to add a few mailbox books at the end of this. So here we go. First few books I got were from the Iliad Bookstore in North Hollywood, one of my absolute favorite bookshops ever. This is probably the smallest amount of books I ever got there. I was really, trying to be careful. First up, Dawn of the Vampire by William Hill. This book was published by Pinnacle in 1991, and this is just one of those classic Pinnacle covers that I'm sure, many of you have seen. One that I had been familiar with for a while, happened to see it there and thought, why not? The early 90s, I don't know what it is, there were just so many vampire novels being churned out in the early 90s. You're going to see at least one more from that period in this haul. But, yeah, pretty cool cover. There's the spine. Yeah. Happy to add that one. I was pretty excited for these next two. So here we have the first book in the Book of the Undead trilogy by Rick Myers. This one is called Fear Itself, and it was published by Dell in 1991. This is a series that I was completely unfamiliar with until I saw Cameron Chaney show these in a recent video. And I thought it sounded cool, so I was pretty happy to find these books. The synopsis makes it sound a little bit like Darkman. It's got a little bit of that Darkman flavor, which I can get behind. So yeah, looking forward to these. I found the first one, and they also had book 3, Worst Nightmare. This one was published by Dell in 1992. So yeah, that's a start. Yeah. Okay, and then the last one I got from the Iliad this time is a book called Liquid Diet by William Tedford. This book was published by Diamond in 1992, and it's another one of those early 90s vampire books, although this one does sound pretty interesting, and the sort of like the little prose little snippet that they give you in the beginning of the book caught my interest, and the title also kind of caught my interest, so I figured, why the hell not? Let's check it out. Seems kind of interesting. Alright, then I went to the book rack in Arcadia, which I've mentioned before. They have a small horror section, but they always have, a couple of interesting things, and I found a couple of things there. First one is Grave Markings by Michael A. Arnson, and this book was published by Del Abyss in 1994. So, as I'm scanning the shelf, I always, keep an eye out for that Del Abyss logo, because their books are usually pretty interesting. So first, the logo of the publisher caught my eye, and then I took a look at the cover. I'm not going to lie, that cover doesn't really do a whole lot for me. I wasn't too intrigued by the cover art. However, when I opened up the book and started reading like the first page, I was hooked. I became immediately enamored of this author's style, very stylish and descriptive, the kind of writing that I really like. So I figured, okay, why not? Let's give this thing a shot. So yeah, this looks like a pretty interesting book. Okay. Another one, which certainly didn't attract me from the cover, is Horrorween by Al Sarantonio. This book was published by Leisure in 2006, as is quite evident here. And, yeah, Al Sarantonio, I think, he's got, a Halloween thing. This guy, published a number of books centered around Halloween. So, you know, I figured why not? I think I have a couple of his other books. I might have another one of his Halloween books somewhere here. But I figured, you know, one of these future Halloweens, why not check it out? And then the last book I got from the book rack, which is maybe one of the more interesting ones, is Raptor Read. Let me see if I can get the holographic cover. Damn, it's kind of hard with the glare. I don't know if you see it there. There. I'm doing such a half-assed job of that. But you get the idea. This book was written by Robert T. Backer, and it was published by Bantam in 1996, the paperback version. It was published in hardcover the year before, in 1995, fresh off the heels of Steven Spielberg's Jurassic Park. So, yeah, they knew what they were doing there. This one does sound kind of interesting, though, because it takes place 120 million years ago, and it's from the perspective of a female raptor. So that sounds interesting. I do kind of like books that are set in prehistoric times, books that don't have humans or, you know, don't have dialogue. I'm thinking of things like William Golding's The Inheritors was one about like prehistoric men versus Homo sapiens or early like Cro-Magnon men. Those are kind of interesting. So I figured, you know, why not? And this holographic cover did kind of, you know, catch my interest. So yeah, we'll see what that's all about. All right, so that's really it as far as the shops. As I said, tried to exercise a little restraint. I really just don't have space to be, you know, buying all this shit. But I figured I'd also show you guys some recent mail things that I've got. So this is a little impromptu Mailbox Horrors as well. So the first one we're going to take a look at is Nightmare Logic. This book was written by Matthew Hall and published by Bantam in 1989. This is a book that I read a review of in, I believe it was Toxic Horror. They actually gave this a glowing review, and it kind of piqued my interest. I thought I should probably check that out. So, you know, people wonder sometimes, where do I find these books? Well, one of them is when I go through like these old magazines and read, you know, the old reviews. This one got a really, yeah, as I said, a really positive review. So kind of looking forward to checking it out. Another one that got a pretty positive review, not quite as positive as that one, is Blake House by Adrian Savage. I wonder if that's a pen name. I don't know. This one was published by Pocket in 1990. And this one sounds pretty interesting. It actually sounds like it's going for a little social commentary almost. But in addition, as was noted in the review, very, very gory. Just insanely gory, insanely violent. But with a little, maybe, who knows, heavy-handed social commentary. But definitely sounds like it could be intriguing. So I thought I'd check it out. Okay, next up, we've got Dark Lullaby by Jessica Palmer. This one was published by Pocket in 1991, excuse me. And Jessica Palmer, she seems like a pretty talented writer. Her style seems similar to the style of Maxine O'Callaghan. I can't even remember her name now. Another writer of that period. I kind of like the style of that, so I figured, and I read some reviews that this is supposed to be a good one. There's actually a follow-up, which you'll see in a moment. Okay. Then we've got Cradle Song by Jessica Palmer. This one was published by Pocket in 1993. Pretty cool cover for 93. Of course, no bas relief. You know, at this point, they're already sort of cutting corners, but nice image. Okay, and then the follow-up, I think that this is kind of like a sequel of sorts to Dark Lullaby. Here we have Shadow Dance, and this one was published by Pocket in 1994. All right. Next, we've got a Zebra title from their heyday in the late 80s. This is Shadow Child, written by Joseph A. Citro and published in 1987. That was the time period where Zebra would just slap a random, skull-based cover on any book, and oftentimes had nothing to do with the book whatsoever. The artist probably definitely hadn't read the book, most likely, and they were just, coming up with kind of a generic horror cover. Although I gotta admit, I do like the clown holding the balloons. That is kind of charming. So who doesn't like a clown holding balloons? That's fun. Okay, and we got a couple of anthologies from Pocket. These are kind of cool. This one is Under the Fang, and these were all put out by the Horror Writers of America. It's kind of the group, so a lot of heavy hitters from that time, and they were usually thematic. So this one clearly deals with vampires. This edition, or this version here, was edited by Robert McCammon, to give you an idea of some of the the people that are involved. And this one came out in 1991. I think this might have been the first. There are 3 that I know of, and I already had one, and so now I have the other 2. So that one, and then this one seems pretty cool too. This is Deathport. This anthology came out in 93 from Pocket, and it was edited by Ramsey Campbell. So pretty cool. So this one, the theme is, well, the topic is airports and flying. So kind of cool. And finally, guys, probably my favorite cover of this video. Had to save the best for last. We've got One by One. This book was written by Linda Lee and published by Pocket in 1979. That is a really cool cover. I don't know if this is a slasher. It looks like one, right? And it sounds like one with that title. Cannot wait to read this. Summers are for slashers. I'm actually reading a slasher right now. Enjoying the hell out of it. So yeah, I just, there's something about, slashers in the summer. It's great. So I don't know. This looks like it maybe even has like a school theme with like a teacher or something. I literally don't remember. I'm not gonna reread it right now. So, but yeah, it definitely has a striking image, right? Looks like a cool book. So, is that it? Yes, that's it, guys. Like I said, relatively short one for me. Really trying to scale back. I do still have mail stuff though. I'll do, but I'm kind of spreading it out a little bit. I'll do another mail video soon, and definitely keep a lookout for another book review, which should be coming soon. So until then, take it easy, guys. Enjoy your day. Peace out.